but tell me what tonality you're in. Okay, guys, that's C major. Okay, stop there. What tonality?
D.
Who?
D minor.
Oh, look at it again.
C
Play
minor.
that measure again. Nope.
It's an A minor.
Play the 5 notes in the right hand. Okay, what are those 5 notes?
D, C.
I'm sorry, I'm so old I can't hear anything. Say that again. What? Okay, but if you played all of these 5 notes, does it sound familiar? With a G major pentachord? Uh-huh. So now in the second section, we've gone to G major. We're in that tonality. We didn't change keys, but he does give us an F sharp as an accidental. So what you want to know is that you have C major, then you have G major, and then you go back to C major. Got it? So it's kind of A1A. When we do things in music and they're the same notes, excuse me?
He's just saying.
When we do things in music, if we do them more than one time, should we do them the same or differently?
Same.
The same. Okay, we can play the same notes, and we can play the same rhythm, and we can play, I don't know, the same whatever and whatever, but we should not play it exactly the same way because people will be certainly bored. And how many times do we hear ya-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da-da-da in this piece? 1, 2, technically there's a repeat here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times we're going to hear the same thing. I think we got it. What do you think? So you need to do something different. The first one, in fact, is marked in here kind of nicely. The first one is piano. The second one is, the first one is forte and the second one's piano. And you did make a little bit of difference, but I'd like to hear more difference. Do you know when Jean-Philippe Rameau lived?
Was he a guy from Cars?
Did he buy some cars? They didn't have cars
Was
when
he
he
a
was.
guy from Cars? Because
Oh.
his name's Ramon.
Rameau? Do we have a Rameau car?
I said Ramon.
The 16th to the 17th.
Tell them.
I think that is his
16th to the 1700s.
1683 to 1764. Who else do you know that lived about that time? I'll bet Tyler knows the answer to this.
What? Oh, C.E. something Bach?
Yeah, which one?
The son.
Nope.
Oh, the Johann.
Johann was born in 1685.
I know who was living at that time.
You. 1683, so he was actually born 2 years before J.S. Bach. J.S. Bach, however, lived in Germany, and Rameau lived in France. And those are 2 very different countries. In France, they're a little bit more delicate, and they were playing harpsichords. And guess what? When you had a harpsichord, you couldn't have a crescendo, and you couldn't have a diminuendo. How could they make any difference in dynamics?
How long they held the beat?
No, that won't change the level of sound, will it?
The speed?
The speed? No. You may not know about this. Sometimes harpsichords have 2 keyboards. Have you ever seen one? Anybody? You've seen one? Usually the keys are reversed. Our white keys on the harpsichord are black, and our black keys on the harpsichord are kind of yellowy colored. They're off-white. How's that? And if they had 2 keyboards, they weren't as long as ours. So there was maybe 2.5 or 3 octaves. And there would be 2 of them, and there was this little switch right over here that you could move to one side, and it would make both keyboards play at the same time, even though you only played on one. It's called coupling, which makes sense, doesn't it? So you couple the keyboards, and so you would have quills that came up instead of our hammers that strike the string, the quill comes up and plucks the string. So if you had two keyboards, you had two sets of strings. If you've got two quills coming up and pulling on those strings, plucking the strings, is it gonna be louder or softer? Louder. So that's it. You got one set of strings or you got two sets of strings. So that means you have to be either loud or soft. And not really any crescendos in there, or diminuendos. There's a word for this, for these kind of dynamics. We talked about dynamics. Does anybody have a clue what this might be?
Shundo.
Nope.
Allegro.
Diminuendo.
And you can't have any of that if you can only be loud or soft.
Mezzo forte.
Okay. I'm gonna do something for you.
Mezzo forte.
Loud, soft. Loud, soft.
It's
Loud.
alto.
Soft. What happens? Do we
Yeah.
get louder and softer?
Oh, no, it just suddenly changes.
Okay, so it's here and here
Sure.
and here, and there's a special word for this. And
It's SF.
I know what you're saying, but not in this case. Not at this time in music. We didn't really have that. How many of you have been to Europe? Only one of you? Where did you go?
France.
France
Yeah.
and Italy. Well, then you saw very, very, very fine examples of what I'm trying to pull out of you guys. And if you were in any of the gardens in France, did you go to Versailles? Mm-hmm. Did you go out in the gardens in the back?
Yep.
What do you remember about the gardens?
It was big.
They were big and very perfectly manicured. They went like this, and then you walked down, and you went over here, and you walked down. Those are called terraces. Each one of those is a terrace. So we have what is called terraced dynamics, and it's spelled exactly like it sounds. So write it down. Terraced, terraced dynamics, which are contrasting. Say what?
Terrorist or terrorist?
No, neither one. That's a sign of where we live now in this era. Terrace, like a patio out back. Terrace. Terrace. I'm glad you asked that. We're not going to have any Unabombers or anything coming in here.
I don't want that.
No.
We'd only be playing piano and
Boom. Park down at
C4 in their DLS. You could use for Christmas.
So terraced, with an ED on the end, terraced dynamics are contrasting. So you're going to play this, and let's see if they even give us. It says forte, piano, forte, piano, forte, piano. So at least we will hear it played in C, loudly and then softly. Then we're doing G, loud and soft, and back to C, loud and soft. Blow us away. Let's hear it. Did you hear the terrace dynamics?
Yep.
Yay, good
Yes.
job. But we're not finished.
I have a question.
We were.
I have a question. If there's all these Italian phrases for this piano stuff, why aren't there any famous Italian pianists?
There are famous Italian pianos.
Pianists.
Pianists, oh, there are many of them.
You just
In
haven't heard of
fact, back in the 14 and 1500s, people came from all over the world, Europe and Asia, to study with the Italians. And that's why even French music has Italian terms in it. French music also has French terms in it, and German music also has German terms, so you have to learn a little French and a little German too. But everybody, it's the universal language of music, is Italian. Everybody has to know those Italian words. It's kind of an interesting, it's a good question. Have you ever heard a harpsichord? Give me one
What?
word to describe the sound when you hear a harpsichord.
Plucked.
Plucked, okay.